Ever wondered why is gig work a good fit for you? Well, you know what? We're going to go through and talk about that. As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner or spouse, you can drive to amazing heights. So if you've ever wondered, hey, why is gig work a good fit for you? Well, there's three primary things that you need to take into account when you look at gig work. But first, let's define what it is. Gig work is typically considered contract labor, contract work. And the gig economy is the fastest growing segment of entrepreneurship in the United States by far. There are more and more gig workers. So gig traditionally refers to a short-term definitive length in a contract. It's a short-term setup of a contract. An independent contractor may do gig work, but an independent contractor a lot of times will be an ongoing business or an ongoing relationship over a long run. So when we think about what are the three primary things when we define if this is something that we're interested in, is one, we need to define what is your skill set. What are you great at? What is unique? And what is it that somebody would be interested in working and retaining you on those shorter term contracts, those gig works? Remember, there's all sorts of different platforms out there that once you define these things, you can put yourself out and then end up starting to get work that way. So the first thing is, what is your skill set? The second piece then is going to be, what is the lifestyle you're looking to lead? It's one of the primary reasons a lot of people do gig work is that it gives you the ability to start working and then stop, maybe take a break, do something different. It often allows you to work in very different ways. Maybe you're working remote. In my book, The Life on Your Terms, we specifically talk about a gig worker who ends up doing work in living out of his van. Now, in the old days, when I was a kid, living in a van meant really bad things. Well, now they're $200,000 vans, and it's a pretty cool hipster life. I'm not saying that's for everybody, but maybe you're a mom that's at home or a dad that's at home, and you want to be able to spend more time with your kids, but you still want to get your toe back in the game and working on things. So you want to be able to invest some time. So the first is the skill set. The second is going to be, what is the lifestyle you're looking for? And then the third, do you genuinely, quality, have the ability to manage yourself? Because in a lot of cases, gig is a contract with a targeted outcome. You're contracted to do this. And usually you get paid on that outcome. Sometimes you get paid on an hourly basis, sometimes you can get paid on a contract or whatever it may be. But the point is you don't have a boss. You may have somebody you've agreed to do work for, but you have to make sure that you're getting your butt out of bed every day, making sure that you're doing the things that you want to do. Or that you've agreed to do. That you're doing it to the quality and to the level, and that you're managing the communication and other components with this. Now the benefit though, other than the flexibility, is that a lot of times you'll have a whole bunch of opportunities to make even more money. Because when people contract, and sometimes we're, as a subcontractor, you may be doing gig work. Other times you may do gig work that's just a one-off deal that could lead to being a subcontractor to do more and more continuous engagements. So the first bet, let's talk about skill set. And skill set, there's a huge variety of skill sets that you can look at. But a lot of times you're going to look back into your professional life and say, what have I been doing in the past? What are those areas that I may be exceptional at? How can I add value? What is it that somebody is going to value, and how can I help them? Now, in certain cases, you may actually need to go get a new certification. Maybe you want to get some training. You want to get additional courses. Who knows what that is? But once you start to do those things, you start to learn what are the other ways that people are looking for. Now, in this channel, we've got all sorts of other areas around business development, marketing, things that can help you build on this. But to start with, we're just initially looking here at the gig worker space. So if in the past maybe you've been a coder, maybe you've done graphic design, maybe you've done proofreading, maybe you've done editing, maybe you've done, who knows, a gazillion different things. But remember, riches are in the niches. Traditionally, the smaller it is, the more unique you can be, the better. So as an example, let's say that you used to be a copywriter and you just say, hey, I'm a copywriter, I can do copywriting. There's some value in that, and somebody may come up and look for you. But if you happen to do technical writing for big ships, okay, fair enough, that's very unique. If you say, I do technical writing for big ships in military contract with this type of approach, that's very, very unique. And usually the more specific and creative you can get, or not creative, but more specific you can be, there's a smaller subset of people who want it, but you can charge more. And it's easier to differentiate yourself from those other people. Now, in some cases, gig work may ask you to travel. Maybe you can work remote. And this is going to lead into our next point, is defining what is the lifestyle you want. Now, in some cases, some gig workers they're basically hired guns that will bounce around and go from place to place to place to place to help people in certain areas. And that's a great gig for them. They can go work for a month or two at a time, then they come back and say, yeah, I'm good, I want to go work here, do another contract, or maybe they take 2 months off and go travel. That's kind of my jam. I like to go and travel. My wife and I take a couple months off a year. I do gig work and contract work with people all over the world. So start thinking about what that looks like. Now, if you happen to be an at-home parent and you want to just spend more time at home, maybe you want to work that 15 to 20 hours a week, making some decent money, getting your toe back in the game, but you still want to make sure you're there for the kids, see them off in the morning and when they get home from school. Or who knows what it is. Maybe you want to work from the road and travel. There's a lot of people. We live up in the high country in Colorado, and we see people all the time who are living out of their vans and campers, traveling, working, living their life, doing it on their terms. It's pretty cool. It's really amazing. But it helps for you to decide where do you want to go. And when we go through this in my book, The Aspiring Solopreneur, this one will give you a step-by-step guide on how exactly to figure out where it is and what fits for you and that type of thing. It'll help define a lot of these in other areas. And we have a whole course there if you're interested in it. You can go to aspiringsolopreneur.com. But you certainly don't have to. The point is that you're welcome to go to the website, and on the website there is a tool called the balance wheel. It doesn't cost you anything, trade an email in there, but you can go in there, and when you go and it takes about 10 minutes and it'll give you immediate results of what potentially could be an idea of where you want to go in your life. So it does a holistic assessment. And this is where, if you're redefining what the success is and how you want to approach these things, you can do this in a very, very different way. But if you can start with your lifestyle, where you want your lifestyle to look like, with the end in mind, what do I want it to be? What do I want it to look like with my relationships, my spouse or partner, family, friends? What are the time that I want to be able to invest there? Then the next is what is it you want to have for your resources, your time, your talent, your treasure? How do you want your health to look? Your physical, your mental, your spiritual. But start to define what do those look like, so you can define what is your lifestyle that you want this to be. And then you can start backing into figuring out what can work and how do you fit and build your business, your gig work business, into that position. So first off, we define what are our skill sets. Second, we define what is the lifestyle you're looking to achieve and how that looks. And then the third thing is you really need to have a conversation with yourself and be candid. Are you willing to be the person who's going to hold your own feet to the fire? And what I mean by that is if you have specific deadlines, as a gig worker, you're not going to be managed nearly as much. If you've been somebody who's worked for other people and candidly, you only did stuff when they rode you and gave you a hard time, being your own gig worker may not be the best fit, because you're going to have to figure things out like your insurance. You're going to have to figure things out like, how do I do my accounting? You're going to have to figure out some of the things around how do I do, my own taxes and things like that. It is very much worth it, and you can make a lot more money with a lot less time. But you have to be really open and candid with yourself to decide, is this really who I am and what I'm willing to do? So if you think that this could be a good fit for you, wonderful. And if you have any questions, by all means, please don't be afraid to reach out. You're always welcome to catch us at lifeonyourterms.com. Thanks.